Evening. I am Brooklyn Borough President Antonio Reynoso. Thank you so much for being here this evening. This Uniform Land Use Review Procedure, or ULURP, public hearing is being conducted from the Brooklyn Borough Hall courtroom. Please note that this hearing is being recorded to comply with open meetings law. The video will be posted on the Brooklyn Borough Presidents YouTube channel. On the agenda are two applications according to a letter submitted by the applicant on April 26, 2023 to the chair of the City Planning Commission. Calendar item number 1, which is 1421 86th Street rezoning, C230018 ZMK and N230019 ZRK, have been withdrawn from public review. Following the applicant's presentation and my question and answer session, members of the public who are in attendance tonight will have the opportunity to testify on the remaining application. All comments are limited to 2 minutes. Members of the public may also submit comments to ask.reynoso at brooklynbp.nyc.gov for my consideration until Friday, May 19, 2023. Please call the first item and let us begin.
Calendar item number 2, 1233 57th Street rezoning, C230117 ZMK. This is an application by 1233-57th Street LLC for land use actions affecting all or part of 6 lots in Community District 12. The project area fronts the mid-block on the north side of 57th Street between 12th and 13th Avenues. The development site consists of 3 applicant-owned lots with approximately 22,036 square feet of lot area. The applicant seeks approval for a zoning map amendment to change the project area from R5 to R6A zoning district, as well as a zoning text amendment to establish a mandatory inclusionary housing area. Approval of the requested actions would facilitate a new 8-story plus cellar and sub-cellar residential building with 60 units, of which 15 to 18 of the units would be affordable, subject to MIH options 1 and 2. Community Board 12 voted to disapprove this item on April 25th, 2023. For the applicant, please state your name and present on this application.
Richard Lobel of Sheldon Lobel PC for the applicant. Good evening.
Good evening.
Borough President, we are happy today to be here to represent the applicant on the 1233 57th Street rezoning. I'm joined by John Galino of the applicant, as well as Amanda Iannotti of my office. With your discretion, I would go through a brief presentation, and then we'd be happy to answer any questions about the project. So the building you see before you is for the 1233 57th Street rezoning. Next slide. Oh, I do. Well, that's fantastic, though. Thank you. So the applicant is seeking a rezoning from an existing R5 to an R6A zoning district. The actual site in question is roughly 22,000 square feet, consists of 3 lots, and would produce a building with roughly 79,000 square feet and 46 dwelling units. And so the development site is 3 lots. There are 2 lots towards the avenue, which would be included in the rezoning as well. Those constitute the entirety of the development site, as well as the proposed rezoning area. There are also, of course, as with every other rezoning of similar bulk, would require an amendment to Appendix F to allow for mandatory inclusionary housing to apply to the site. So what has been proposed, and we'll go through slides and maps as well as photos of the site. What was certified at City Planning was an 8-story cellar and sub-cellar building. This actually was discussed both with community stakeholders as well as with local elected officials, and it was determined that that was too tall for the area, and so the applicant voluntarily reduced the size of the proposed development to 5 stories. So you will see as we go through photos and maps of the area that 6 to 8-story buildings are found within the area, including on the block, including within 50 feet of the site. This is not an area where you have R2A zoning in an area and you're seeking to do an island of R6A. This is a site where you've got adjacent parcels zoned R6. So we did, however, talk about reducing the height, which we're happy to do, to 5 stories. And actually, the building would be 5 stories and 4 stories. The site, the inland portion of the site closest to the R5 inland, mid-block rezoning or rezoning would be 4 stories closer to the smaller development. The setbacks, there would be an 8-foot side yard across the westerly side lot line, again, next to those smaller residential buildings. In addition, the total height, as was discussed in certification, has been decreased from 83 feet and 8 stories to 55 feet and 45 feet and 5 and 4 stories. Parking, while it was 94 parking spaces in the initial iteration to address 60 units, would now be 52 spaces to address 46 units. This still is an overage of parking far greater than would be required by the zoning. In addition, with regards to the unit sizes, again, upon consultation with stakeholders in the area, there is an overage of 3-bedroom apartments in this building. And indeed, adding up the 3, 4, and 5-bedroom apartments, you have 44 out of 46. Over 90% of the units would be 3 to 5 bedrooms. So this is significant for 2 main reasons. The first is that local area stakeholders appreciate larger unit sizes, having larger families. And importantly, as the borough president is aware, the affordable units within this building would also have access to and be populated within the large units. So it really provides a somewhat unique opportunity for lower affordable units to go to, with larger bedroom sizes, to go to people who really need this type of housing. And again, with regards to MIH options, when you select option 1, a full 12 of those units and greater than 25% of the units would be affordable. This is a copy of the zoning map. You see the circled area, which we will be showing the tax map and the area map so you can better get a handle on the area. But I will note, what do you see on this map? You see the circled area, which is R5. And then to the north, northeast, and northwest of the site, you see R6. R6 zoning abounds in this area. It is a primarily R6 zone area to the north and northeast and northwest of the site. All of those R6 zone districts would permit development in excess of what would be permitted at the site, with a full 4.8 FAR for community facility with residential. In addition, when you look at the, you focus in on the circled area, which is now you can see the tax map, you've got an R6A district, which is immediately adjacent to an R6 district. What this does is it takes R6A zoning, which is a moderated R6 zoning district, and brings it into the mid-block area to act as a transition between the R5 district to the west and the R6 district to the east, which basically allows you to step down from 6 to 8-story buildings, including that one which is 50 feet from the property, and become more contextual as you go down the block towards the western R5 district. The zoning land use map really demonstrates why this is an appropriate rezoning. You have 13th and 12th Avenues here, both wide streets per zoning at 80 feet wide. The street system in the area is well established and able to handle the moderate increase in density, which would result from the R6A district here. You've got the D train, which has a stop a mere 2 blocks from the site. Public transportation abounds here, including bus service along 13th Avenue. And you basically have an opportunity to bring some density to the site, as well as to populate lots which are mid-block and 22,000 square feet. It is rare to have an opportunity to create affordability in this area on lots of this size. So with the street system here being able to handle the additional capacity, with the existing zoning districts, including the R6 immediately adjacent, with the subway and bus service here and being located in the transit area, city planning, as did we, felt that this was an appropriate area for this moderate increase in zoning density. Pictures of the site, currently a vacant site. You can see in the area some of the buildings in the area. Again, the typology includes 3 to 4 story buildings, but to the east you do see larger buildings as we discussed. Just paging through. And then this is an illustrative proposal with the rezoning analysis. Again, this is an illustration. So when you go through city planning, again, as the borough president is aware, you're offering illustrative proposals which demonstrate what could be built here. The 8-story building was indeed one that could be built here under the old demonstrative materials. This 5-story building could be built here, and this offers an advancement here because it's the same 79,000 square feet as the 8-story parcel, as the 8-story property development, but it allows it in a much smaller bulk and a much shorter building. So we're just going to show again the context of the area, demonstrating what is the upper density and higher density to the north and northeast, and this transitional area as we go mid-block towards the low to mid-rise residential to the west. Again, the illustrative proposal demonstrating what amounts to be a 5-story building mid-block, as well as a 4-story portion as you near the R5 portion to the west. I would also note importantly that R5 zoning, it's not like if you left it alone, nothing would happen here. It's Brooklyn, we are aware of development. You have an existing 2 FAR for community facility here. Were you interested in fully developing the property, you could do some combination of parcels and development, which would result in a 44,000 square foot building with a 22,000 square foot lot at a 2 FAR. So that 44,000 square foot building, which could rise to 4 stories as of right, stands in contrast to this, which is a 4 and 5 story building, which creates actual affordability in an area where you don't often find this affordability, with bedroom sizes which frankly don't often go to lower income individuals. And also, as an aside, half of those units would go to residents of Community Board 12, which is why first we felt that this was an appropriate proposal as modified, and second, we felt like it was a real chance to provide something here that doesn't exist. Importantly, because city planning holds us to different standards than the remainder of the public review process, the applicant here has already stated on the record at the community board that they would be happy to enter into a restrictive declaration, which would be recorded against the property. That doesn't affect city planning's consideration because they look at maximum scenarios and they look at what you can do, and they basically make their determinations absent any restrictive declaration. But John, who has already spoken to this at the community board, has basically said that he would happily enter into a restrictive declaration, capping the height, discussing other amenities in the building and such. The calculations and zoning calculations are presented, again, very small to review, but the highlights were discussed previously. And we have a subcellar which contains, again, 52 car parking spaces. And above that, access as well as 4-bedroom duplexes, ground floor units. This is a unit breakdown, 46 units as proposed, 2 5-bedroom duplexes, 4 4-bedroom duplexes. As discussed, the overwhelming majority of these being 3 3-bedroom units and 1 2 and 1 1-bedroom unit, merely to round off the development. The building design, again, showing that 25-foot portion, which is stepped down to a 4-story portion, as well as that 8-foot side yard next to existing residential development. These are both as per zoning, as a requirement. There is a step-down rule adjacent to the existing R5 district. And then this is a building typology showing a rendering of the area, including taller buildings to the east of the parcel. Again, the building design is a rather attractive design. These are just discussions with regards to visitation to the property, person trips and such. Basically, one of the things that was demonstrated was if you did have a 44,000 square foot medical office here, again, as of right, you can go into DOB, file your plans and get it, you would have a far worse parking and traffic situation than you would with the proposal. 46 units in essence, providing that amount of residential here, both on an absolute level, bringing in 46 units, as well as on a relative level of what you could do here, is it's a minimal amount of an intrusion with regards to the number of automobiles brought into the area. In addition, again, there's an overage of parking so that each unit would be allotted more than 1 parking space for their unit. And that's basically the end of the proposal. Again, you've got an attractive building, which we would design in conjunction with discussions with stakeholders in the area. This was as was presented to the community board, but it doesn't end here to the extent that this is an iterative process. John has basically mentioned that he'd be thrilled to come in and to talk to subcommittees of the community board and other stakeholders with regards to building design and how he could potentially produce a building that the area would be proud of. And with that, Borough President, we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for your presentation. Would you be able to finance a 100% affordable housing project, a few at than 8 stories?
Yeah, so John and I discussed that, and what he's told me is he's unable to do that. basically just because of the financial situation of the property and the combination of ownership of the property, their lenders and such. He made an actual inquiry with regards to this, but the truth of the matter is it's a challenging project as is, but he's told me that 100% affordability would sadly not be available.
Okay. Would you consider getting into an agreement with HPD for subsidized housing?
I think we'd be happy to explore that, but I'm not sure, and without speaking out of turn, we'd need to make that inquiry. So it's something we can ask about. The proposal we have on the table does not include that.
Yeah. And just to put in perspective, this is one of the poorer sections and areas in all of Brooklyn. So folks that are living on 30, 40, and 50% AMI. So when we talk about building in this area, we would like to do the best we can to build for the community that it's in. It doesn't matter if this is in the South Bronx, if this is in Western Queens, or this is here in Borough Park. We want to make sure that we maximize how much affordable housing we're getting. As I've done with all projects so far that have come to Borough Hall, I've asked to maximize affordable housing in every single one of them, and this won't be any different. We know MIH is the floor, and we are going to treat it as such, and we expect that should you be able to move forward with a recommendation from this office, that a conversation about affordable housing is a primary conversation, a topic that we should pay attention to.
We appreciate that, Borough President, and we'd be thrilled to advance the application to the point where that is part of the conversation.
Okay. Who do you plan to use as the MIH administrator? Do you have conversations with local organizations that could possibly administer that?
We have. We've had conversations with 2 local organizations. So we haven't decided on one, and frankly, as you might be aware, this has been a bumpy road to get even to this point.
Okay.
We would be interested in working with a local organization, a Brooklyn-based organization. We would gladly take the Brooklyn Borough Presidents' input with regards to who that administering agent would most likely should be.
Yeah. And we'll have that discussion. There'll definitely be someone within the community that knows how to do outreach to ensure that the affordable housing units go to, as many of the affordable housing units can go to the local community as possible.
And Borough President, we would also use that to take advantage of even the marketing of the as-of-right units.
Exactly.
And to go to local people in the neighborhood. John has said from the beginning that this was always meant to be a project for the area and not something imposed on the area, and that's still the goal.
Right. Can you explain the rationale for the proposed project modification from 8 down to 5 stories?
Yes. While there are 8-story buildings within 50 to 100 feet of the premises, and while there are, as of right, 8-story buildings that could be built in the R6 designated areas, it was too tall for the site. And we do a lot of rezonings, as you're aware, and certain areas are better able to accommodate taller buildings and certain areas are not. So this has been viewed by the applicant as an opportunity with a 22,000 square foot site. However, even for this site and for this zoning, an 8-story building is a lot. So we still feel, and our environmental consultants have demonstrated that from a standpoint of environmental assessment statement and CEQA review, that an 8-story building might be appropriate here for environmental purposes, but not for the community.
Right.
And so that's one of the reasons we had our conversations, and John really put in the time to work backwards and to say, okay, can we make this smaller to really what amounts to be a 4- and 5-story building, which again we think is just a good-looking building.
Right. And then how is this going to be memorialized? I know you talked about a restrictive deck, but why not put forth like a text amendment, a change, so that we can cap the height through zoning instead of a restrictive declaration?
We would always seek in the balance to enter into a text amendment, part of the ULURP application, et cetera. We did not do so in this case because, frankly, it was not always designed as a 5-story building. It was designed to be something taller than that. The discussions basically brought the height down. 4 or 5 years ago, my office had never entered or facilitated the entry into one community benefits or restricted declaration. And now we are doing them in a large percentage of the projects, which is okay. This is basically how the city and the review process has evolved to handle holding applicants' feet to the fire. We would basically accomplish this, enter into a restrictive declaration, sign a community benefits agreement to a local nonprofit, whatever would be the most compelling way to restrict the development of this property. I can tell you with to 100% certainty that that would be the applicant's, it would be a goal of the project to be able to do that. Again, we get it. There are people who are agitated at 8 stories who may feel differently about a 5-story building and 4-story building. We would seek that out and would seek to put that restriction on the property, happily.
Can you just, so technically, why would a modification to the text amendment not be something you would consider?
Because right now, a modification to the text amendment would require us to leave ULURP and come back into ULURP with a new application. In addition, Borough President, I would say that having also been involved in many text amendments, they would, their applicability is typically not limited to the application that you're working on. So the text amendment here, you're not really in a special district, you're in Borough Park, but you're on an R5 block, and the applicability would be rather broad for a text amendment. So if I've got a special district, if I've got a sub-district, it makes it a lot easier to do that text amendment. And frankly, the City Planning Commission now is, through the City of Yes proposals, contemplating text amendments which will address many issues regarding density, but here I think it's just too tough to do now.
Okay. So what's the difference between a 4-bedroom duplex and a 4-bedroom unit? Can you just describe that to me a bit? So that
Sure. I think that might be better addressed by Nick Liberos, the project architect, if you're okay.
Okay. Hi, how are you?
Good. So the 4-bedroom duplex is something which is more configured with an eye towards what the community is using. So a 4-bedroom typically will hold maybe like a family of 7, 8, and this has been set up to hold a family of more. So the thought is with like Simchas, excuse me, stuff like this, you could basically host like, let's say 25, 30 people. So that's the idea.
The duplex, so you're saying in your design architecturally that you find that the duplex is allowed to hold more people actually than
Yes.
a 4-bedroom apartment, let's say?
Exactly. It's just more space.
Because it's 2 stories?
Yeah.
Or 2 floors?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so now the panel is excused. So appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Borough President.
Thank you. We will now call on testimony on this application from members of the public in attendance tonight. Please note that all comments are limited to 2 minutes. It's 2 minutes. I do not want to interrupt you. There's going to be a loud bell that hits 2 minutes. Do me the favor by respecting that so that I don't need to interrupt you. Okay, I know there are a lot of rabbis in this room, and I want to be as respectful as possible. 2 minutes. Don't let me interrupt you, okay? I would appreciate it. Also, if you heard something before and you're going to repeat the same thing, consider not testifying at all and just saying ditto, we agree, or something of that nature. So we don't need repetitive statements. Also, I know that there were almost, 175 people at the community board. So I don't want you to think that it's lost upon us the amount of people that have participated in this process. The folks in this room are not necessarily representative of the entire community that is making a case for or against this project. So don't think it's lost upon us. So just some ground rules there.
Okay, and I'll be calling speakers, and forgive me for any mispronunciation, and please correct when you get up to the podium. So our first speaker will be Itzhak Wurzberger, followed by Mark Hirschhorn.
Hello all, the Borough President. My name is Yitzhak Jonathan Wurzberger, and I'm here to testify in opposition. I am a Borough Park resident who recently purchased a condo, and ostensibly I am the exact demographic targeted by the developer and wants to introduce additional housing projects, availability for the community. However, that being said, I, alongside my neighbors, we want to live in Borough Park. We don't simply want to have an existence there. I am sympathetic to the concerns of the city to foster private investment, to bring additional units to market, which would alleviate what is plain to see a housing crisis. But that being said, the cost of that should not be borne directly by the residents for the sole purpose of profits by the developer to the exclusion of all else. And that completes it. Thanks so much.
Thank you, thank you. All right. Great model testifier, by the way. Did a great job. Yep, go ahead.
Next, Mark Hirschhorn, followed by Miriam Gutman.
Let's go ahead with Miriam then. I don't think Gutman is here. Gutman's not here?
Mar-
All right, no.
All right, so we'll try him later. Yeah, Miriam Gutman.
Oh, Miriam, yes.
Honorable Borough President, so, as a homeowner residing on this block for the past 35 years, I vehemently oppose this project. The block nor the community is meant for this type of housing. All the homes are basically maximum 3-family and 3-story R5 zone. When my home was built, it was illegal to have a 4th floor, and it shouldn't be any different today. This is a quiet residential street with many trees that has more than enough traffic and parking issues. There is 0 parking, as depicted by Mr. Lobel's photos himself. I don't know if you noticed all the cars on the street, and there was not 1 extra parking space there. We also have a busy medical center to deal with that is opposite this proposed project that has constant double-parked ambulances, and the city bus route, which he declined to never mentioned either, that this is a city bus street. And we have school buses from the school that's at the corner also, and we have rows of buses and city buses waiting for these ambulances to move, which is opposite this project. A busy church with an overcrowded parking lot, which he declined to mention, and parking for all its congregants that spill onto the street as well, because there's not enough parking. I understand this developer wants to get a lot of bang for his $12 million he spent on these properties, but many of our homeowners over here on this block have spent millions as well for their properties. There's many that spent $3 to $4 million for their homes, and could not have any zoning changes done to their properties due to strict R5 zoning. Promises of underground parking are almost always a farce. He did not mention the R6 zone that he claimed is 50 feet away, as 8 feet is only 6 feet. We were promised underground parking, and the parking lot was turned into some rental. So that goes. The medical center that we were promised parking does not allow any employees to park there. We were promised if we put up a medical center and allow it, they will have parking in the back. P.S., none of the employees are allowed to park in the back. This is a big building, the R6 building that was changed is a big building that has tenants scrambling for parking. Giving this project an approval for 5 stories rather than 8 and diminishing its allotted parking spaces will again suffocate us. This is not an option. In all fairness, I'm closing. Why this developer is rightfully expected to receive any more rights in the way of zoning changes than anyone else on the block received is unfair. Let him construct multi-3-family, 3-story homes just like the rest of the block has so that we can maintain the aesthetic look that 57th Street and all neighboring blocks have. We don't need nor want this eyesore in our neighborhood. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Next is Abraham Steinwurzel, followed by Abe Klein.
It is an honor for me to speak in the name of the community to our honorable Borough President, and I wish to just begin with a tweet from that was sent by the Borough President himself. The Borough President says, when we're in Borough Hall, we're going to develop a comprehensive plan for Brooklyn where communities dictate their future, not big developers. Did I say it right? Yes. Okay. Yeah, now I just want to say that there are around the community. First, on these blocks, there's no R6. There's one building that's by the corner because the avenue is R6, and that's where these buildings should be built. And the building that was built on this block, which is the building right after the corner, after a school at the corner, was built one building as an R6. But in the entire area, there is no such things. But there's plenty of room for R6, and maybe we could get even higher than that. And 60th Street till 65th Street, There are places where there was a big development just built at 60th Street and 16th Avenue, and a beautiful building. There was a beautiful building built at the Pinnacle at McDonald Avenue, and that's the place where it should be done. But there's a reason, as I explained already at the community board meeting, that there's a reason why we have R5 and why we have R6 and why we have R10, because everything has its place and was made, most probably our ancestors were pretty smart, and they understood what they're doing, and they made residential areas, and they made other areas, like we just heard from the previous speaker. It's going to hurt the community, and we don't understand why there should be spot rezoning. If we want to rezone, maybe they should rezone the entire area. That it should go to R6. We should be able to build till 5 stories, all the houses. But one builder should be able to build a large building at the expense and at the pain of the community, which is going to cause a lot of traffic. It's a fact. 60 more cars on that street, I think, is an extreme amount on such a block. And I don't have to. I mean, I'm expressing the pain of the community. I hear it from all the people in the community, and we understand. Such a change is always done with consideration of the community, consideration of the mothers and the children, and we ask of you, Borough President, to do what you could to stop it, and our community should continue as it's been till now. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rabbi. Thank you.
Abe Klein, and then followed by Jonathan Wurzberger.
Good evening, Mr. Borough President.
Good evening.
It should not be a surprise to anyone the utter refusal of the developer to do a text amendment to his current application. That should tell us all of where he's really heading with this. He's showing us beautiful pictures, 5 stories, 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom duplexes. But in reality, if that would be true, if this is the true intention, this would fit into a completely different zoning application. It would fit into at least in R6B, as we know, and the refusal of them to change it, unlike in other neighborhoods, where the same attorney represented them on 86th Street, they did come with a text amendment to their application due to the community's objection. So much so that in that neighborhood, after the developer seeing the overwhelming objection of the community, being a community person, living in the community, not overpaying for the property to begin with, actually withdrew that application, and I believe the hearing would have been here today, but it's not because of that. This developer is not from the community. He's from a very low-lying community in Staten Island. He does not propose to rezone his neighborhood, but coming here to rezone ours. As per your own words, as you've said at an earlier date, that rezoning should be done with city planning, or upzoning should be done with city planning. It shouldn't be done lot by lot, block by block. If a neighborhood needs more density, it should be done by government rather than greedy developers where all they're doing is looking out for themselves. Let's not be fooled. This is not about the 5, 6, 10, 20, or whatever, 25% affordable units that they have to do by force. Would the city have allowed them to do only one or none? They would have chosen none. This is about the 75% non-affordable, which is going to drive up prices on every lot in the whole community, making all the currently affordable units no longer affordable. Thank you so much.
Okay, Next is Jonathan Wurzberger, followed by David, I can't read the last name, but it looks to be S-H-I. Yes, okay. Oh, okay.
Oh, thank you. There you
Thank
go.
you.
You're winning a lot of
Perfect.
points that way. Thank you, thank you.
Perfect. And so is there a David? Oh,
Let me see which one was that one.
I can't, it's
Shire?
Shire?
Sharon? Stern.
SHTRN. Good
Okay.
evening, Your
Okay.
Honor.
All right, welcome.
My name is David Stern. I live in the community about 47 years approximately. From them, I am over 40 years in reconstruction and developing throughout Brooklyn, including Shipstead Bay, Canarsie, Flatbush, and mostly Borough Park. I'll be very short. 10 years ago, I received a call from a broker to examine this property, which we had an eye on it throughout in the vicinity of 1232 57th Street. And at that time, I called up engineer who's working with the same attorney, Bush Friedman, and I said, I live on a property which I own, R5 zoning, it's 80 by 100. What possibility there is to go for a variance? Because it would be very nice to put in an extra house instead of 3 houses. He tells me, don't even try. There is no reason economical for it. When I discussed with the broker about 123357, the property of 220 by 100, I say, listen, I can't give you an offer, I have to analyze. I right away called up my architect, and we sit down for a few hours. We analyzed the size of the property, and we came up that we could normal build an R5 zoning, 10 buildings, 3-story, which approximately including, if we dig out the entire property, we could use also partially the basement, approximately 45,000 square feet, which would be 10 buildings with 3 apartments each, plus storages for each apartment, which would be very suitable based on that, where the location is of this property. The vicinity of the property is very convenient for live with a passion together with the church, with the Italian community, with the Irish community, which are very close. We are with them. And so we figured would be approximately 30 units with 2 means of egress for the parking would be very suitable for our location. We invested in this community a lot of money, where we have approximately more than a dozen congregations. We have a church where we're very peaceful. We have medical offices. There is a one-way street and all kind of buses driving one way. By adding there anything more than 3-story will be completely inconvenient and raise the prices for our apartments which we live surrounding. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Stern.
Next is Nekemia Weiss, sorry about the pronunciation, followed by David Steinberg.
Good evening, Borough President. My name is Nekemia Weiss. I live 2 blocks away of the proposed development with a family of 9 children. Having them out during the afternoon hours on their own, safely traveling, riding on their bike, and going for errands. The younger kids I would be concerned about this big development making this area, changing the texture of the whole of our neighborhood. In addition to raising prices, which I hope my kids will be able to buy around in this neighborhood and stay close to our parents as a family, and to continue on. So I'm really concerned, as the previous speakers have mentioned. On 2 blocks away, there's only four four buildings that have 3 stories. All of them are two-story buildings. Taking such a dramatic change would change the entire texture and shift the picture and the way we were raised. My wife was born on that block, and my grandfather lives over there. And it's really, I hope the Borough President will be able to do what's right and help us with that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you.
David Steinberg. And then our last speaker is Yakov Garman following Mr. Steinberg.
How are you?
Good evening. My name is David Steinberg. I live in the neighborhood. I live on 12th and 56th from 1975. I'd just like to, I did not plan on speaking tonight, but I just want to address some points that the speaker said, which really, I don't know where he gets his information. I don't believe that he has been in the neighborhood from 8 in the morning till 11 in the morning and from 3 till 7, where he can blatantly say that there is a traffic report that says that can handle the traffic. It is impossible. Sometimes it could take you 20 minutes to go 5 blocks by car. So his report, I don't know which neighborhood he got that report in. Number 2, everybody knows that there's no parking spaces on the place in the area. You can do that by taking a study of the city amount of tickets that they get every day and every night in our neighborhood. Every pump is taken every night because there's no place. He said he's going to put 52 parking spots. Are these people going to be restricted to park only in those spots, or are they going to take our spots on the street? That's never going to happen. They will be parking on the street during the day, running in and out, and there are no spots over there. Okay? Number 3, obviously there was a problem with his original plan when he said 8 stories. They realized it's wrong. So they made mistakes. This is also a mistake, the 5 things. They should just realize they're making one mistake after the other mistake, and we should not be party of it. We should not suffer for that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, thank you.
Yakov Garman.
With the full honor of respect, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak a few words. I have properties all over in the area. 55th, 56th, and 13th, Fort Hamilton. I'm there every single day, close to 8 hours a day. The kids that go is all one way, that they have to watch out and look out for cars coming through. God forbid there will be on a small block 2 more entrances where cars will come and go. Kids will be in danger. That's number 1. Number 2, I was looking out to buy that property, but somebody came and offered almost double because he had a plan. And I had overheard that he told me he's connected well to Ed Koch. The other guy's connected in the Brooklyn apartment, 3 generations already. And to my knowledge, I know that he performs all the places where they make parties. And about one single man's greed does not have to disrupt our community. And we know for a fact, he keeps on saying that no matter what they're going to do, they're going to bring 10,000 people to oppose it. I have everybody in my deep pockets. It's going to be approved anyways, no matter what happens. So just open the eyes, everybody, for one man's greed not to disrupt our community, and to see if we were taking a forensic accounting through his 20, 30 years, we'll see everything that got approved, how many pockets got filled, and we need justice, and the community just wants a little freedom. And it shouldn't be dangerous for our kids running in and out. 3 more entries on a small block when we have 800 buses by pickup and by coming home. In that small community, there's 800 buses on the roads every day. We don't need another 50 more cars. Parking, God forbid, 1 life will be taken of a small kid. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you so much, thank you.
Last call for Mark Hirschhorn.
Yeah, he's back.
Okay.
My name is Mark Hirschhorn. I live a few blocks away from this stated address. And I just want to reiterate what 2 of my predecessors said. I teach driving. I'm on the road. I teach driver's ed. I'm on the road about 8 hours a day, mostly in Borough Park. when the lawyer was showing the slides with the colors, he made a mistake. I don't know if it was inadvertent or not, but it was a mistake. And he said, one of my colleagues and brethren said, it's absolutely impossible. It's impossible as it is. Doesn't there reach a saturation point? You just can't keep building, okay? And I invite you anytime you want, unannounced, come to Borough Park from 8:30 in the morning to 6 o'clock at night, and you'll see what we're talking about. Thank you.
All right, and I've been to Borough Park. I know what you're talking about. Trust me. At this point, there's no further comment, so this item is now closed. The ULURP public hearing is now closed. I will review this application and submit recommendations to the City Planning Commission, which will hold its hearing at a later date. As a reminder, viewers may submit comments to Ask Reynoso, which is AskReynoso at brooklynbp.nyc.gov for the Borough President's consideration until Tuesday, May 19th, 2023. This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you so much for being here.